Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, Chapter 7 Season 3 has been out for just a little over 3 weeks now, and it's pretty good. Yeah, video over guys, you can all go home now. Wait, I was just kidding guys. Where was I? Oh yeah, that's right, Chapter 7 Season 3 has been out for just over 3 weeks. And now that we've had a decent amount of time spent playing the season, I think right now is an appropriate time to discuss the season so far, what we think is good, what we think could be done a little bit better, and what is just straight up bad. I literally couldn't wait until the end of the season to spill my thoughts on it this time. I am enjoying all of this content that we're getting way too much. It is so much fun, and I hope you guys like this video just as much as I love this season. And hey, if you do end up enjoying the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We're closer than ever to hitting 1,000 subscribers, so any help would be greatly appreciated. But now we got all that out of the way, let's just dive straight into what I think of Chapter 7 Season 3 so far. But you know what, before we even talk about the season itself, we gotta very quickly give an honourable mention to the build-up for this season. Like, it was so incredible that before it even started, it was already shaping up to be generational. It was kept under wraps impressively well. Not a single person knew what this season was about until it actually started. Like, the season theme was unknown, the map changes were unknown, even the story outcome was unknown, which definitely helped the live event have a lot more impact. Seriously, the build-up to this season had the weirdest feeling around it ever, but it was also some of the most fun I've had talking with the community. Like, no one knew a single thing about the upcoming season, and every time we got new info, it just confused us even more. It was great. Literally, this is gonna be the first time I can remember them pulling something like this off since Chapter 2 Season 5. It was super hype not knowing anything about the upcoming season, and I hope they keep it that way going forward. Listen, you guys know a season is goated if you have to talk about the build-up before you can even start on anything it actually brought to the table. Oh my god, it was amazing. Moving on though, we do have to start talking about the season itself, and of course, I want to start with how the game actually feels to play. And to be completely honest, this season feels phenomenal. Genuinely, I didn't think anything could top the rivalry system from last season, but the new feature this season added knocked it out of the park. It's super addictive, it gets me to hop back onto the game time and time again, it's easily the best part of the season, and of course you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, it is the sprite mechanic. Seriously, these sprites were an incredible idea. They are so much fun at every step of the process. Like, of course, you do have the whole extraction mechanic, which is kind of like the entire crux of the season. Essentially, what you would do with this feature is you would go and collect sprites somewhere mid-match, either from a special chest or just roaming around. You'd head to an extraction point marked on your minimap, wait for around 60 seconds for this pod to land, which would then allow you to extract the prior mentioned sprite and add it to your collection. Seriously, this is easily the best part about the season. It's super stressful, it's super intense, and most importantly, it's entirely optional. It is everything I love about a Fortnite feature. And even then, there's so many different ways you can play it. Like, it opens up so many different play styles, you know, with it shooting a beacon into the sky, letting everyone know where you are. It forces you immediately to follow one or two methods, either playing defensive, you know, like building a little base and shooting at the people coming towards you, or playing it a little bit quieter, you know, maybe hiding in the bushes or around the corners. It's super fun, man. It carries on what I loved about the rivalries from last season, you know, with them being able to essentially force a fight at any point through the match. Makes it completely optional for people who don't really want to engage in that, and with the feature being a lot more fleshed out, it feels 1,000 times less mind-numbing to grind these things over and over again. And even though I have hinted to it, I haven't even mentioned the fact that you could just avoid this entire thing entirely if you wanted to. You know, maybe you had a rare sprite you want to extract without being eliminated, or maybe you're just a little bit bad at the game. Instead, you could use the pocket extractor. This is a really good feature. You know, I really like that they added this. I'm not going to talk about it too long because, you know, what is it? It's a pocket extractor. You can kind of just pull it out at any point of the match and use it to extract the sprite you're currently wearing. It's just a really good feature, what I even say. It's easy to get, but it isn't too easy, meaning that you do still have to take part in the season itself. But I haven't even mentioned the best part about this whole system, which of course were the rare sprite variations. Seriously, these are incredible. You have so many different types. You have like Galaxy, you have Gold, you have Gummy, you have tons of upcoming ones like Holofoil, and the gem ones which got leaked a while back. It is so fun collecting all of these different variations. It's basically shiny hunting from Pokemon. It's super addictive, and it feels like a rush every single time you get one. I mean, seriously, with the recent power hours in this season, it has brought around the highest player count in years, with the season peaking at millions of players in the middle of the season, which just tells you something about how good this sprite system actually is. This whole thing has just encouraged so much activity within the community. Like, my Discord server has never been more active, and it's because so many people are just trading with each other and giving out sprites to those who need it. Honestly, what a perfect feature. It had a 10 out of 10 execution, and with how popular this feature seems to be, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought it back in a future season. Alright, but moving on finally, we are just going to talk about the smaller features that this season added, starting with the return of the mid-match quests. Now, honestly, I've been waiting for these to come back for so long. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the last time we saw them and the first time we saw them was in the Simpsons season, but for one reason or another, we just didn't see them again until now, and honestly, I am really liking how these things feel. They've just had a massive overhaul on every single front. I mean, you have better loot, you have better quests, you know, there's no more like going back to a location and looking for like shopping bags. Like, it doesn't force you to play the game in any one way. I mean, you get better loot, you get like purple and gold weapons and a sprite maybe every now and again. Honestly, the changes they've made to this quest system has improved it tenfold. And unlike the Simpsons season, I'm actually taking these every single time I run into them. There's literally no downside to picking them up, and I think it's a really good feature overall. Now, you do have a little more of a niche change to the gameplay, and even though it was technically introduced in last season, I really enjoyed being able to cut your glider mid-air. Honestly, it just feels really well polished. I have no idea what they did to it this season, because in Chapter 7 Season 2, it felt busted as hell. Like, you were constantly dying, and it was always breaking, and it was messing up glider redeploys, but it seems they fixed it, and overall, it just feels like a great addition to the game. You also had the revamp of the boss system this season, and I don't know if I like it that much. Obviously, in this season, they changed it so that instead of having, like, set positions, you know, like landing at a point of interest or roaming around the map, they would just randomly get spawned somewhere at some point in the match. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't like this change to the boss system. I don't know, gang, if you can have your bosses set in different positions every single match, I would prefer it to be more like how they were set up in Wreck, where they would be driving around the map, and they would also be marked on the map. And even then, that's only if you want them to be moving. I mean, myself, I definitely prefer having set spawns for bosses. It just gives the gameplay loop of the season a little bit more structure and guarantees a hot drop should you want it. Also, I gotta say, the no guaranteed mythic thing from these bosses thing was so stupid. I'm glad they went back and got rid of it. It's the only real issue I have with the season though, and to be honest, with how much Chapter 7 has been changing up the boss system, I have full confidence that this feature will be gone by next season. Alright, but we gotta talk about something other than the gameplay of the season eventually, and why not move on to the loot pool? And to be completely honest, it feels incredibly fun and it feels incredibly consistent. Like, it's not the best loot pool in the world, but it's also not the worst. So we are just gonna quickly blast through every single item added in this season and break everything down. Obviously, starting off, you do have the Chaos Reloader rifle, which was insane at the start of this season, and I did have a whole paragraph about how strong this thing was, but recently it got nerfed way into the ground. It is so bad now. Literally, I have never seen a fall off this bad for a weapon, but I'm actually really glad they did this because I just didn't like how the weapon felt. I really can't explain what I don't like about this weapon, but there is just something about it that isn't working for me, and I'm just really happy that I don't have to take it every single match anymore. Now, of course, it wasn't the only new assault rifle to be added in this season, because you also had the Surgical Burst AR. This thing is literally the exact opposite of the Chaos Reloader rifle. It is one of my favorite weapons in this season, maybe even one of my favorite non-scoped burst assault rifles yet. It's genuinely one of the best weapons I've used in my 7 years playing Fortnite. The weapon spread is super tight, the damage on this thing is through the roof, everything about it feels great, while also staying fairly balanced, unlike you, and feeling really consistent in a more general sense. It basically feels like the Chapter 2 AUG on steroids, dude. It just feels really good. But not all of these weapons have been nerfed into the ground, and not all of them are super balanced, because unfortunately this loot pool does have one small issue, which if you played a minute of the season, you know exactly what I'm going to be talking about next. And of course, it is the Ranger pistol. This thing is way too strong. It's literally shredding through people faster than Thanos was back in 2018. It is literally the best weapon in the season. Like, this thing has no recoil. It does like 50 headshot damage at a DPS of 207. This thing is stronger than most shotguns. Oh, come on, guys. It's ridiculous. Seriously, this thing needs a damage nerf or even a smidge of recoil added because it should not be eliminating players in less than 2 seconds. Mind you, you do also have some returning weapons, which I'm just going to very quickly blast through. And the first of them all is the Striker Shotgun, one of the worst shotguns of all time. Alright. I'm not going to be too harsh on this thing. It did actually get a major buff in this season. It's not the worst anymore, but it still isn't that good either. I don't know, it just kind of feels on par with all the other pump variations we've gotten since Chapter 3. It's very slow, it takes forever to fire again, and it just doesn't do enough damage to warrant picking it up. Now, it isn't the only returning shotgun in this season, because the Maven did also come back as well. Now, I've always liked this thing for some reason, so I am glad to see it come back to the Lootpool, you know, especially in its post-buff variation after Chapter 4 Season 4. Honestly, it's just a really fantastic modernized tactical shotgun. If you guys haven't given this thing a chance, do it immediately. It is one of the best weapons in this Lootpool. You also have a bit of a weird one, because it was actually removed from the Lootpool before I managed to record this video, because, of course, I am talking about the Chaos Reloader shotgun. It was removed after the first week of the season. I don't really know why they vaulted it. It felt perfect in the current loot pool, and I do miss it being in it. Right now, we are definitely missing a punchy shotgun, and that thing filled that hole perfectly. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. I just wish it could come back. Now, you do have a couple more forgettable ones, with the Warforged Assault Rifle and the Stinger SMG. I actually forgot the Warforged was even in this loot pool. It's so buns. It's barely viable. I mean, not even Hitscan could fix this thing. It is still one of the worst assault rifles the game has ever produced. I'm sorry, but the fact that this thing is going up against some of the best assault rifles ever released just shows that this thing had no chance whatsoever. It was completely dead on arrival. This thing was dreadful all the way back in Chapter 5, and somehow it's even worse now. And then, yeah, of course, I do also have to mention the Stinger SMG. It's kind of just a bog standard submachine gun. I mean, it's got fairly low DPS, it's been nerfed into the ground. You're not going to be taking this thing over the Ranger pistol, which is, you know, it's so much more common as well. So even though it isn't bad per se, it just falls completely into irrelevancy. Like, I'm sorry, no one is going to be taking this thing. It's not even the best SMG in the loot pool. That's the Flex SMG. You know, it always felt super chunky. It felt super consistent. I do like the whole gimmick with this thing where if you aim in, you get a slower fire rate, but then you also get higher damage, and vice versa for not aiming in. It's gotta be one of my favorite recent SMGs. It just kind of feels right. And honestly, that's the best way to describe this loot pool. Everything in it sort of works in perfect tandem with everything else. Like, there's only really one weapon that felt too overpowered, and even then that got nerfed into the ground. And for the most part, I'm definitely a big fan of how this loot pool feels. And the only real issue I have with it is the fact that this loot pool kind of feels like it's missing that special item, and I don't know what it could be. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know, you look at Lawless, it had the kneecapper. You look at Rex, it had the Nitro gloves, even though they were broken. You even just look at last season, you know, you had the 7 gauntlets. I don't know, this loot pool is just missing that weapon that gives the season its own identity. And genuinely, I have no idea what this weapon could be. But once it gets added, the vibes for this season will feel perfect. And hey, you know what? While I'm still on the topic, I may as well talk about the vibes of the season. And honestly, it genuinely feels fantastic. I was actually kind of scared they weren't going to pull another summer season this chapter, you know, after essentially doing the same thing back with Season 1. But I'm very happy to say that not only did they go through with it, but they gave the concept a fresh spin, and it feels really good. Like, I'm going to be talking about the map in more detail very soon, but it just kind of has that whole summer feel to it. It is honestly leagues ahead of Chapter 7 Season 1's attempt. It just hits the vibes again perfectly, and it manages to hit them without feeling bland and forced. Seriously, every single one of these locations just has so much soul, and it just has so much life to it. It's just really nice to look at, and it makes the game a much more pleasant experience than the bland maps of Chapter 5 and Chapter 7 Season 1 and 2. And to be completely honest, the pacing of the season enhances these vibes tenfold. Now, it's definitely not a secret that I hate slower paced seasons like Wilds and Primal, so a season like this is literally my dream. It feels fast paced, but it's not super fast paced. It's just quick enough, you know? I mean, especially in the case of mobility items, it has just felt incredible this season. I mean, movement is a huge part of the feel of any season. Think of the difference in tone between Wilds and Shock and Awesome. The tiniest of changes can transform the vibe entirely, and I can confidently say they've done really well on this front. Like, the 7 sliders are really well done, while also having the cool little feature that you can cool them off on the water, sort of encouraging you to surf on the rivers and oceans. I'm also super glad to see overdrive grenades back for another season. Honestly, they're a perfect balance between the shockwaves and weaker movement items, and it definitely helps the season feel way more fun than it would have if shockwaves just came back. Yeah, everything this season brought to the table helps it have such a strong identity and feel. Going from something as small as the movement to something as huge as important as the theming, all of it was pretty much perfect, and it established itself as its own thing pretty much immediately. But most of all, this season was helped a ton by the map that was brought alongside it. Yeah, dudes, the map changes for this season were insane. Like, we got an entirely brand new map. It completely blew my mind. Not a single soul saw it coming. And it's definitely a change for the better. It clears the Chapter 7 Season 1 and 2 map out of the water. It is genuinely one of the best maps we've got in years, and it stands toe-to-toe with Chapter 6 Season 1 and Chapter 4 Season 2. This map is so full of life, and it's full of soul. There's so many fun little areas. Every single drop spot has a nook and cranny you can come across. There's just so much to do and there's so much to explore. Like, my favorite location by far has to be these 2 houses connected to one another with a battle bus. Like, come on, that's so much fun. That is such a fun concept. It feels straight out of Chapter 3 and 4 with just how goofy and silly that idea actually is. I mean, even the shape of the island itself is fantastic. I am so glad that we've got, like, goofy looking islands again. I love wacky and cartoony shaped islands that just have their own distinct silhouettes, because that's definitely a big issue I had with the maps of Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. If you were gonna, like, block them out, you know, you just colored them all black, you would never be able to tell that those are Fortnite maps. But if you do the same to something like the Chapter 1 map or the Chapter 2 map, they have an incredibly distinct outline, and it's really easy to see which one is more inspired than the others. Honestly, I just love how wacky and cartoony this island shape is, and it feels like a perfect middle ground between the late Chapter 2 and 3 art style and the more modern Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 island design. And not only does it look good, it also feels just as great to play. It is genuinely phenomenal. There is not a single part of this map that doesn't feel good. And while I definitely gotta say that the desert biome is my least favorite spot to land at, you know, you don't have many great POIs, it's kind of empty, and with all the cliffs, you're gonna get shot at above. Even then, it's still an incredibly fun place to land, and there's definitely a couple of gems hidden around. I mean, the points of interest on this map are great too. Literally every single one feels worth dropping at, even if some are better than others, which, in my opinion, is actually a pretty good thing. Listen, I know this is going to be a bit of a hot take, but in my opinion, I think that Fortnite maps feel 10 times as fun to play if they have a mix of both quieter and more intensive drop spots, and making them all equally balanced sort of takes away an entire playstyle from the game. Look at Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, for example. Both of those maps, obviously, they had their hotspots, you know, they had their tilted towers and they had their agencies, but they also came with quiet and far-off locations that you could land at if you wanted a little bit of a quieter early game, or maybe you just wanted to avoid players. Some of these POIs make for such a nice place to drop if I want to play a little bit more casually, you know, maybe I'm having a quiet evening, maybe I just want to wind down after I play some ranked. It's just something the game always needs. Thank you, Epic, so much for bringing this back. And you know what? I'm also super glad that Wonky Land and Latte Landing stuck around from last season. Both of them are some of the better and more unique locations from Chapter 7 Season 1. And to be completely honest, I love the running gag of Latte Landing somehow surviving catastrophic events every single week. And of course, with a new season, you know, you also have tons of brand new points of interest. I can't really go over them individually because this video is already long enough, but my personal favorites are Golden Grove, a stunning forest biome found on the right side of the map, and Shaken Sanctuary, the reforged home of the new 7. I mean, the former is a beautiful point of interest with tons of tiny and hidden details. Like, if you're just driving past this place, it looks completely barren with no reason to drop there. That's how I was treating it for the first few weeks of the season. But once you look around, so many little areas start to pop up. There's just so many hidden corners in this location, with it even having the hidden cave for this map tucked away under the main building. It just has so many little details. There's tons of tiny little hidden parts in this location. And of course, you do also have Shaken Sanctuary, which in my opinion is a vast improvement over last season's new Sanctuary. Even though I liked that location, it just felt great to get the location back in a jungle biome. It just kind of feels right for the 7 to be living in that environment. I don't know, something about New Sanctuary, even though it was fundamentally the same location. Hell, the location was like 10 times as big as it is now. You know, it had the whole basement. Something about it just felt really off. I don't know, I just didn't like it. I mean, the original Sanctuary was one of my favorite locations of all time. Honestly, I'm just so glad with how this location feels. I love the wood paneling. I love the little farms that are set up around it. It just feels more like a home base than a hastily set up Startup HQ. And to be completely honest, that's a perfect way to sum up how I feel about the Shattered Coast. It's a fantastic feeling map, every part of it is full of soul, every little nook of it has something to do and somewhere to loot, and there is no doubt in my mind that this is one of the best maps in Fortnite history. Alright everybody, we are at the end of the video, but you know what? I'm going to quickly close up this review with my thoughts on the season overall. And of course, we're going to start this off with, do I think it was a good season? Yeah, of course I do. This is shaping up to be one of my favorite seasons of all time. I mean, you have tons of content. Now, even though it seems that it's not going to be as much as Chapter 7 Season 2, you know, we're never getting that much content again, it's still super fun. Even something as small as the new sprite variations keeps me coming back to play the game every single week, as well as all of the unvaulted items that are coming back and the new mythics that you can find around the map every single update. And with the map itself, I literally don't know how I can gush about it more than I already have. It's literally one of the best we've had in years. Every single part of it is full of so much soul, and I'm really glad that even though it went through such a drastic overhaul, it kept the best parts of the Golden Coast. The loot pool itself feels fantastic, it's definitely one of the more balanced we've had in recent times, and it actually feels like Fortnite again. And even though I was a little bit concerned going into Season 3 that we were going to get stuck with another wild, you know, with all the layoffs that happened in Chapter 7 Season 2, they seem to have stuck the landing way better than they did in Chapter 5. Now, what this means for Chapter 7 Season 4, I don't really know, maybe it's going to all hit then, but right now, I'm incredibly happy with the state of the game. I seriously hope that they don't ruin what they have, because what they have right now is really good. I mean, I said this in my Chapter 7 Season 2 retrospective, but for the first time in years, I am perfectly content with where the game is currently standing, and I am more than excited for what the future of this game holds. Alright everybody, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, so any help would be greatly appreciated. Also, feel free to check the link in my channel's description. It should take you right to the official Discord server where you can chat with the community, play awesome minigames, and talk to me directly. But hey, at the end of the day, all you really gotta do is stay safe, drink some water, and have a fantastic day. Bye bye!